Hello and welcome to week 4. Keep the basics of writing instruction in mind as you move through the week. Encourage daily time to write and set expectations, such as what the writing space should look like. Help students understand that writing is a recursive process that involves planning, drafting, receiving feedback, revising, and publishing or sharing. Finally, use mentor texts and models so that students can visualize a finished product. Don't forget to keep on writing with those students. It will nurture your community of writers. Day 1. This week, students will explore inquiry-based writing. Before you show them the invitation to write, you might mention that inquiry means asking questions and looking for answers. Sometimes the writer writes about solutions to problems. Through inquiry, we learn new things, which can be really exciting. In the Students Lit Lab Guidebook, they will receive this week's invitation to write and to move through the steps of the writing process. The Week 4 invitation explains that when scientists have questions, they use their observations to answer them. This is what scientists call data. As a scientist, students are going to ask a question about the trash they see in a space around them. Let's move on to the planning stage. Prior to initiating the planning activity, you might want to describe the different ways a scientist could record his or her data, such as a list, a drawing, or a chart. Students might have difficulty graphing or charting. You can model by creating a table and coloring in the squares each time you encounter that trash item in the classroom or home wastebasket. Ask them what the chart shows them and how scientists might use that information. Then, in the space provided in the Students Lit Lab Guidebook, have them list, sketch, or graph the trash they see in a specific space. This week, they will use plain white paper to plan. Read the additional planning ideas aloud to them. These include circling their choices for Step 1 and Step 2. Step 1. Pick a place to observe the trash. Classroom trash can, home trash can, or outdoor space. Step 2. Record what you see by listing, sketching, or graphing. As always, encourage their creativity. Model the process for them and share your drawing with them. Whether face-to-face or remote, encourage the students to share their planning too. Next, students will move on to drafting. When it is time for students to move from planning to drafting, have them use their composition notebooks. Tell the students to use their composition notebook to first look at the data they've collected about the trash. Then, they will write about what they've learned about the types of trash they have noted. Ask them to include what problems they saw and what solution they might use to fix it. When writing with them first, you could start with the conversation with, "We know that scientists use data to figure out questions and to solve problems. I'm going to write a paragraph about my data and how to solve the problem of too much paper in my kitchen garbage. What are some ideas that you can give me to get me started?" Then, model using the writer's composition notebook to draft. You can show the students your draft and read it aloud. This week, I tallied the trash I collected in my kitchen garbage can. I noticed there was a lot of paper in my garbage. To use less paper, I'm going to use a sponge instead of a paper towel when cleaning. Remember, students might have time to start this on day 1. If not, encourage them to draft their explanations before they return for day 2. Day 2. When possible, make time for feedback. On day 2, students can gather feedback from you and their peers. Have the students turn to the feedback guide located on the last page of the Students Lit Lab Guidebook. Using the sentence and question stems provided, or those that have worked well for you in the past, have students ask others to provide praise, questions, or suggestions. You can also prompt students to focus on specific aspects, such as their ideas, vocabulary, design, and/or effort. After students have received feedback or have looked over their writing themselves, give them time to polish their pieces. Revision lists encourage students to focus on a few items to work on. These lists can be added to their composition notebooks or placed on sticky notes or note cards. You can model this process too. For example, the students might encourage me to reduce food wrappers by ordering less. They might also encourage me to explain why reducing garbage is a good idea. Now consider the ways that students can share their writing with their peers. Use the designated space or virtual background that signals the featured author. Have peers respond with finger snapping, clapping, emojis, or GIFs. In helping students to realize that writing is a joyful act, it is important to make time for reflection. This is an excellent way to build students' self efficacy and identity, both as a writer and as someone who might pursue a STEM career. Questions could include the following: as a writer, what did you do well this week? What might you try differently next week? Which part of your writing makes you most proud this week? What did you learn about scientists? Could you imagine yourself becoming a scientist one day? Don't forget to capture students' work, words, and wonderment and add them to the artifact gallery. And as always, if you have any questions throughout the week, please feel free to reach out to me via email. I always look forward to hearing from you.